Warning: the following presentation may be disturbing or triggering to some viewers. All information on this channel is provided by the local news and is public to all viewers for your own research. Viewer discretion is advised.
A devastated father returns to the Regent Park home where his 18-year-old son Ali Rzig was shot to death in a hail of bullets just before 9:30 Monday night. Though only 18 and known to police, his life was only just beginning. Police are now trying to understand why he was targeted.
And I can tell you that 51 Division responded so quickly to this 911 call that I'm confident that the shooter did not make it out of this building.
On around 8:40 p.m., when four masked men armed with handguns ran up and began firing at three childhood friends who were just hanging out in Regent Park.
Wagwan everybody, welcome to our next episode of Tyler Things podcast. This is episode 2 of season 6, and this is going to be a two-parter episode. Today we're going to be talking about Regent Park. Now, a lot of people have been suggesting me to talk about Regent Park, but the reason why it took me so long is because I don't want to talk about the places in Toronto that everybody knows, Jane and Finch, Regent Park. Everybody in the fucking world knows Regent Park and Jane and Finch. So I said, let me talk about other places that a lot of other people don't know about but has enough crime. So, I said, let me just talk about Regent Park now. But because Regent Park, is so popular, there's so much cases that's come out of Regent Park. You can see why it's so popular. I know for sure I'm not going to be able to talk about all of the cases that's happened due to research and them stuff. It's hard to find certain things. But for this video, well, it's going to be a two-parter, like I said, but I have to break it in half because I think, about over 12 cases. Now, the regular TTC episode, we have maybe about 5 to 6, 7 cases, maybe. But for it to be over 12, that shows that this is an area that has enough crime. So I'm going to do 6 in this video, and I'm going to do 6 in the next video. And the next thing I wanted to say before we get into the video is that a lot of the places we're going to be talking about today in the part 1 doesn't exist anymore because Regent Park is like tear down. They lit down half of it, which is something that they're doing to a lot of areas in Toronto, like Lawrence Heights Jungle. They lit down half a jungle. They lit down half a Regent Park. What's the one in Scarborough up on McCowan there where they have the condos in the back now? Near Danforth there. I don't remember the name of that area, but bare areas are starting to do that. They're revamping the hood. So a lot of these places that I'm going to be talking about don't exist anymore. But these cases, some of these cases are interesting. Some of these cases are crazy. And I'm not going to be going into all of the gang and all them something that how we do our TTC series already. I'm not a very informative channel when you think about it compared to the other Toronto channels. You're not going to see me post up the man them face and ball out their real name. We just don't do that. So let's just get straight into the cases that we have. The first case happened a while ago, but this is the oldest case we're going to be talking about. And this person's name was Benny Cloutier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name right, but he was 23 years old at the time of this case. And what's so crazy is that he actually has my birthday. He was born September 27, 1977. Now, on Sunday, June 24th, 2001, around 3:37 a.m., police got called to 175 River. I don't know if it's Road or Street, but one of them did. And they found him shot to death on the sidewalk. Now, like I always say when I do TTC series, is that some of the episodes, some of the cases are going to be not very informative because of how long ago they happened. There's not much information, and some of them are even cold case. So the only thing that they have on these cases, unless Wagwan, is that it's just a couple facts, when it happened, the time it happened, where they found him, and that's it. Only certain people really, really know, what caused him to get shot. What was the whole thing that was it an interaction? Was it a dealing? What was it that caused him to just get shot? We don't know. So moving on to case number 2 now, we're going to be talking about a person that went by the name of, well, I'm just going to call them TB because they were underage and I don't want to, ball out the youth's name in respect for the family. But we're just going to call him TB. Now, this happened on Friday, January 18, 2013. And the little boy was only 15 years old at the time of this. Now, this happened in a building called Whiteside Place. Yeah, Whiteside Place High Rise. Now, one thing that you have to remember is that he did not live here. He was just coming over here with a friend. I believe the news said it was a friend that he was close with, but we don't know exactly what it was, why this little boy came over to this building. So now police was saying they kind of think that he was lured, because I'm going to show you guys the surveillance footage. You can see, and I don't know if he knew this, but he was even holding the doors for his own killers. Now, you know, when you live in a building, the door them lock up after it closed back. Somebody has to buzz you in, or you have to have the key. So he came in now, and then you can see him holding the door like he saw that they were coming in after him, and they walked in, and right after that, the whole thing happened. So we don't know if he came with them. We don't believe so from what the news is saying, but you know, it's a whole it's crazy. It's crazy that was caught on camera. But around 2 p.m. now, in the stairs of the 13th floor. Remember what I keep telling you guys about the 13th floor? That was how the TTC series even started, because I was saying, what building has a 13th floor? And the man was like, yo, the Kipling buildings have 13th floor. I said, in all my life of living in Scarborough, I've never ever seen a building with a 13th floor. So there's always people dying on the 13th floor. In the elevator, I did a case. I think a man got shot up in the elevator. And next one, the man got shot up in the stairs. And next one, the people them dead in the apartment or flew off of the balcony. And now we have this young boy in the staircase on the 13th floor. He was shot up enough time. So I'm going to play you guys the surveillance footage I was telling you about. And then I'm going to play you guys the next local news thing from Toronto Sun. And then I'm going to come back with the next case.
And I'm quite confident now, after looking at that video, that we have all the exits to this building covered. And I can tell you that 51 Division responded so quickly to this 911 call that I'm confident that the shooter did not make it out of this building before the police arrived. As a result of that, I'm also confident that there are people in this building who may possess information as to who the shooter might be or where the shooter went after he shot Tyson. This building has a series of hallways and stairwells not unlike other buildings. And we're here today with detectives from the Homicide Squad and 51 Division to go door to door and to ask people a series of specific questions to try to find out if anybody saw or heard anything that might let us know where the shooter went after shooting Tyson. What those records have allowed me to be confident in is to identify why Tyson was here. He was here with another person. They were friendly to each other. Criminal investigations are all about connections, and I've established the connection between Tyson and this building. I'm sure of why Tyson was here, I'm sure when he came here, and I'm sure why he came here. What I need to know is the connection between the shooter and this building, and I'm confident there is.
Alrighty, so you guys just seen that. Now I want to move on to a next case. Now this case also got a lot of publicity when it happened. This was a 27-year-old who went by the name of Thane Murray. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Now, this whole situation happened on September 18th, 2021, where him and I think two of his friends were just hanging out, and four masked men ran up to him and just started shooting him up. The other two ran away, but Thane got shot 14 times, one in his head, and was pronounced dead at the scene. I want to read you guys a news article, and this is what it says. On Saturday, September 18, 2021, at 8:52 p.m., police responded to a call for a shooting in the Oak Street and Sumac Street area. It is reported that multiple gunshots were heard in the area. Officers arrived on the scene and located three men suffering from gunshot wound. A 29-year-old man from Toronto was transported to hospital with life-threatening injury. He is now in stable condition. A 27-year-old man from Toronto was transported to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injury, and one man was located suffering from multiple gunshot wound and was pronounced dead on the scene. The victim has been identified as Thane Murray, 27, of Toronto. Police are seeking for suspects responsible for the shooting. All suspects were wearing dark-colored clothes and were wearing masks that concealed their face. The suspects were last seen fleeing the area together in a northerly direction. So you guys just heard me read that, and now I'm going to play you guys a local news article to just explain some more with the case, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the third case, or the fourth case rather, excuse me.
It was September 18th, 2021, around 8:40 p.m. when four masked men armed with handguns ran up and began firing at three childhood friends who were just hanging out in Regent Park. Two of the three victims were struck by bullets, but were able to run for their lives and escape. But Thane Murray, who worked with kids at the Regent Park Community Centre, was shot roughly 14 times, including once in the head. The 27-year-old sadly died at the scene. Now, two of the alleged shooters, Noah Anderson and Junior Jamal Harvey, are on trial, each charged with one count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. The Crown believes the suspects arrived in and fled in a light-colored sedan, tracked by police in video surveillance. The Crown alleges that it is the same light beige Nissan Altima that Anderson rented a few days before the shooting, recovered by police in November 2021. The Crown also says a day before the shooting, Anderson drove to the Chelsea Hotel in that Altima, where he rented a room. 4 men were captured on camera coming and going from the hotel within half an hour of the shooting. Police allege they are Thane Murray's killers, among them Anderson and Harvey.
These guys came up and did what they did for no reason whatsoever. It doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't add up.
Thane Murray's father has been attending the trial every day.
I want to see justice for my son. Innocent person taken away for no reason whatsoever.
The Crown told the jury in its opening address a red iPhone was seized on the day of Anderson's arrest, and they intend to prove it was his. A forensic exam of the phone found lyrics, photographs, and videos that the Crown says was created the day after the shooting. They say the lyrics are directly linked to Thane Murray's killing. The 2 suspects have pleaded not guilty. Catherine.
Alrighty, so you guys just seen that. Now moving on to the next case, case number 4. We're going to be talking about a person that went by the name of Ali Rzig. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but the news is going to say it correctly. He was 18 years old, and this happened on January 30th, 2017. So now I want to read you guys just a news article that's going to talk about it quickly, and I'm going to play you guys a news video where they're explaining it. You're going to hear the neighbors, them talking. You're going to hear his dad talking. You're going to see where his shoes them kick off, because supposedly he was standing up in front of the door. But let me just get into the keys. And it says on Monday, January 30th, 2017, about 9:23 p.m., police responded to a shooting on the Gerard, I don't know if it's Gerard Street or Garrett Street, near Sumac Street. The victim was discovered outside a residence suffering from gunshot wound. The victim was transported to hospital where he died shortly after arrival. So I'm going to play you guys the news article. You guys listen to that, and then we'll come back and talk about this next case, case number 5.
An 18-year-old boy who lived in this townhouse behind me in Regent Park with his parents, brother, and sister. Today, his horrified father spoke to me outside the townhouse here while police begin their search for his killer. A devastated father returns to the Regent Park home where his 18-year-old son, Ali Rzig, was shot to death in a hail of bullets just before 9:30 Monday night.
I know, it is senseless.
He was just standing outside your house?
He was coming in the house. And then,
were you inside at the time?
yes, I was.
Oh my gosh. As the father ran to help his wounded son, other neighbors were startled by the sound of gunshots.
Together, bam, 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 like 10, 12 shotgun.
I heard his mother screaming and she banged on our door. She was just screaming, and then I heard her sister yelling his name.
Police were called and rushed Rzig to hospital, but by the time he arrived, he was pronounced dead. His father says he's still reliving the final moments of his son's life.
Mom, this is senseless. This is atrocious, and it's unbelievable. It is not human.
Well, your son, was he still in school, or was he finished? What was he doing with his life?
Still following school.
Those who knew Rzig say he was always smiling and had lived in this Regent Park community with his family for years.
It's tragic.
This resident, like many, is stunned by the be a coincidence. Police telling me they do not believe they are connected. Police sources tell Global News Leventis was targeted, well known for drug and weapons convictions in his native Quebec. Now living here in Toronto with a friend, this was an organized crime hit. As for Ali Rzig, though only 18 and known to police, his life was only just beginning. Police are now trying to understand why he was targeted.
You know, I don't want the community to be placated by the fact that this was targeted or not targeted. I mean, I want them to come forward. I want them to participate in this investigation and, you know, perhaps tell me what, if anything, they may know.
And the homicide squad is appealing to anyone who may have been driving here along Gerrard Street last night between 8 and 10 o'clock, who may have dash cam video perhaps showing the suspect or suspects fleeing the scene. Meantime, friends of Ali Rzig are holding a vigil this hour. We just saw them walking by. They have black and white balloons. They have candles. We will hopefully have more on this story on the news at 11:30, at 11 o'clock tonight. Sorry. Back to you, Farah.
Alrighty, so you guys just heard that. Now, talking about case number 5, moving on to case number 5. This is a story that happened way back in 1997, but the only thing is that this don't have much information about it. I still believe that it's a cold case. I don't think that nobody was ever held accountable for the situation. Now, these were 2 sex workers that were known in the area for doing that, and it looks like this was either a drug deal or something gone wrong on the 6th floor in the staircase. So I'm going to read you guys a news article quickly, and then I'm going to play the news clip so you guys can hear what goes on. So let me read you guys the article. It says, on Sunday, January 5th, 1997, about 3 p.m., police responded, to an emergency call at 274 Sagsville Street. The victim was discovered inside an apartment building stairwell, suffering from gunshot wounds and obviously deceased. The victim of homicide number 3 in 1997. Because remember, this is the beginning of the year, so that's what they had them as. The next one now, her name was Therese Melanson, but they have her in the system as homicide number 3. She was also discovered in the same location, suffering from gunshot wound and obviously deceased. Now, the way that they were even discovered is that if you know how Toronto housing is, sometimes when the area is really, really bad, what they will have is like a security that just sits there 24 hours and just walks around the building or goes through the staircase. And that's exactly what happened. One of those people went through the staircase and found the 2 bodies them dead right beside each other, same age. And I don't know if they were friends. They must have been friends. The news never too specify that, but for sure they said they were sex worker. So I want to play you guys the news article now so you guys can hear what the police them have to say about the situation, and then you're going to hear about, I think it was her sisters, just giving some more insight on who they were. So you guys listen to this and I'll be right back.
On Sunday, January 5th, 1997, at approximately 3 p.m., a security officer from the Toronto Housing Authority located the bodies of 2 women while patrolling the 6th floor stairway of an apartment building at 274 Sackville Street. The investigation revealed that the 2 victims, Florence Harrison and Teresa Melanson, both 32 years old, had been shot. Both the victims were sex trade workers known in the area. They were last seen alive in the area of Parliament Street and Dundas Street about 12 hours earlier. Numerous people were interviewed with the aim of establishing each victim's timeline during the course of the day before they were killed. Forensic testing was done and DNA was identified, but it does not link to any known offenders in the National DNA Databank. The motive behind the killing of these 2 women is still unknown. Family members of the victims have not forgotten this tragic double homicide and are still seeking answers along with the police.
Chloe kept us together as a family, and everything just fell apart after that. Even though she had her issues, and she was always there with us as part of a family. And her being just 2 years younger than me, we were very close. So those people who were in the building, in the stairwell with her, it would be nice. Your lives are different now. You're moved on, you've moved out of the neighborhood. And I know there's someone out there who could come forward and let us have some closure, let Chloe have some peace.
Already, you guys just heard that. So moving on to the 6th and last case for part number 1. We're going to be talking about a person that went by the name of Yousef Ali. Now, he was 18 years old at the time of this case that happened on October 6, 2014, around 2:44 p.m. Now, he was walking with 2 other friends when a masked man walked up to them and just killed Yousef. Now they were saying that this was a targeted act, but he wasn't. Not when the news says this, we can't be sure because a lot of time youths are involved with things and their mom don't know, their family don't know, and then when they die now, they tell the news, oh, he wasn't involved in nothing, but we don't think it was necessarily mistaken identity. The news is saying that they knew who he was and they went after him, so we don't know necessarily what he was involved with. We don't even know where the friend them were because the police said they found the body near Shutter Street and Tree Fan. So that was the area where the body was found in the alley, and they said that they were communicating with the two friend that he was with, but the two friend them must have ran away when they seen that the man came up in a mask and just started to shoot him. And the fact that there was two other people with him and they never touched them, but they shoot and kill Yousef alone, it means that it was him that they were looking for. So we don't really know what Guan. But the next thing that was very crazy about this whole situation was that three other teens, or he was the third teen, I think so, two other teens were shot and killed. Actually, let me not say killed, but were definitely shot on the same day in separate different shootings. That was the 13 that day. That day. So that was crazy back on October 6, 2014. And if I was supposed to put all of the videos, excuse me, if I was supposed to put all of the cases in this one video, the video would be way too long. So we're going to come back in part 2 and talk about the rest. But that's all we have right now for part 1. So you don't know, I'll see you in part 2 on Talk the Things podcast.
Yeah, I'm a pretty little Barbie. Got